All right, welcome to this week's AUA. This is the AUA Ask Us Anything video for week 7. And this week's topic was emergence, which is a highly interesting topic, well, like all the other topics as well. But this was particularly interesting, I thought, from many perspectives. And let's dive right into the first couple of questions here. So Antonios asks, would bacteria lose their resistance to an antibiotic if we withdrew this antibiotic from the market for some time? Is the periodic use of antibiotics a solution to the problem of resistance? Could we cycle between using different antibiotics in different periods of time?
Well, the short answer to that is that yes, sometimes they can lose their resistance. There are situations where they don't, but many where they do if you don't have the drug in use. The usual issue is that the selection in favour of resistance is very strong because it's a live-die thing for the bacteria. The selection against resistance in the absence of drug is quite weak because there's usually just a few % of growth performance or something. So the resistance genes spread through the population a lot faster than they leave it because of that asymmetry. There has been a lot of discussion about cycling drugs, and sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. Usually it's better to use multiple drugs at the same time, but I think there's no real consensus on when it would work and when it won't work. One of the issues is that if the resistance has been lost from a population because the drug is no longer being used, the alleles, the resistance genes, probably are somewhere out there, and so it's really easy to upselect them again once you start using the drug again. So you really got one proper shot at not getting it, not losing the drug. After that, it's really a problem.
It does sound as if there's no great cost to the bacteria in carrying those genes.
Well, it depends on the resistance genes.
Yeah.
So sometimes there are and sometimes there are not. Sometimes there are initially very high costs and then mutations pop up in other genes which compensate for those costs and reduce the cost down. I think there's no real generality there.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the important point, though, is that a lot of these, especially if it's a point mutation, they exist naturally in these populations. You know? So it doesn't take, selection will increase the frequency, but those mutations are present.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of diversity in the bacterial populations, and some of them happen to be in antibiotic resistant.
So is this a theoretical concept or is it practice?
The cycling. No, people have tried in hospitals and have tried.
So passed.
And there are trials done at the hospital level asking whether we should cycle drugs or use them at random.
Right.
And the upshot of that has been mixed conclusions.
Okay.
And in the mathematical models, the answers are mixed, and in reality, at least in these trials, the answers are mixed as well.
Because sometimes also removing the drug for a time might allow the resistance to spread further also, isn't it? So that can be the problem with stopping it. I seem to recall that so it was not really cycling, but with the eradication of malaria using DDT in Sri Lanka, they did it really pretty well for a long time, but then because of, I guess, unrest, they stopped for a couple of years, and then when they brought DDT back in to continue the control program, then all the mosquitoes were resistant.
And that's been an observation also in HIV, that people who have drug holidays where they're not taking the combination therapy for some time, when they go back on the therapy, the situation is made worse again. And that's probably something to do with the amplification, the general biomass that's allowed to grow up in that time. So the resistant ones then become numerically more common. Even if their frequency is lower, they become numerically more common. And then when you hit them back again with the drugs, you're in problems. And maybe that's what happened with the mosquitoes too.